Thank you so much for coming along to today's information session. We commence this morning by acknowledging the Wadawurrung people as the traditional owners of the land, waterway and skies. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Geelong community. I'd like to acknowledge Simon Flowers, who is our Chair of Judging, and Robert Hunter, our Deputy Chair of Judging. And thank you to Atina, one of our judges who has joined the session today, and also to Lou Hammer, who is a 2023 winner of the awards and won the Home-Based and Micro Business Award. I'd like to acknowledge our major sponsor, LBW Business and Wealth Advisor, who have been a very long-term sponsor of the awards. Thank you. And I also acknowledge the category sponsors who are listed on the screen. This program is absolutely not possible without their support and commitment to the program. And I'd also like to acknowledge our award partners who help us put together this incredible program. The agenda today will run through why enter, who can enter, the award categories. We'll talk about the judges, the business entry process, the entry criteria, site visit. We'll talk about the individual award, the interview, how to enter. Simon will share some general tips about the program, some key dates, and we'll leave questions until the end. With the webinar, there is a Q&A function. So if you have any questions, I really encourage you to start typing away, and we'll absolutely address those questions at the end. Okay, so why enter? I would like to hand over to Lou. Lou is a past winner of the program from last year and won the Home-Based and Micro Business Award. Her business is Pre-Love Geelong. I'll just stop sharing screen. Lou, can you please share with everyone why you entered the awards program?
Thanks, Tennille. Hi, everybody. So like Tennille said, I own local consignment boutique Pre-Love Geelong, and we won the micro or home-based business award last year. So yeah, I decided it was the second year in a row that we'd entered. We had entered the year before, but our business had only been open for, it was less than a year. So in terms of entry, we kind of didn't have too much growth to show the judges in 2022. So we decided to have another crack last year for a number of reasons. So for me personally, as a business owner, the process itself is so robust, and it kind of forces you to sit down and reflect on what you've done, the achievements that you've made, and also what you can do a little bit better. It's not often as a business owner that we actually give ourselves that time to go through and pick apart every single facet of your business. It was also a really great opportunity to get the team involved in the entry process. So we were, or still are, actually quite a small team. So it's a really great opportunity to also get them to have a bit of a reflection on what we were doing, what we can do better, what we're doing really well and should keep doing. And in terms of sort of being shortlisted and going to the event, it was a really great opportunity to get the team together and have a fun night out. The actual award ceremony is a great night. And again, it's not often that you get to get really dressed up and network with other business owners and see people that maybe you've seen around the traps, so you've seen on social media. So all in all, you know, the process sort of goes for a number of months. And yeah, just it's a really great opportunity to kind of step back and look at your business from a bigger level than what you normally would.
Wonderful, Lou. And the big question, do you plan to enter again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we were nominated a number of weeks ago, and we've already started the process of getting together our entry. A lot has changed between last year and now. And this year I've actually got my store manager involved in the entry process. So last year I pretty much wrote our entire entry myself, but this year I've sort of handed the reins over to her. Obviously, I'll help her with it. But yeah, we hope that we can attend the award ceremony again because, like I said, it's just such a fun night.
Wonderful, Lou. Thank you. I'll come back to you later on in the
Yeah,
presentation.
sure.
So Lou has talked about all the different reasons in terms of why you should enter the program. I'm very excited to let you know that this year we are going to be awarding prizes to each of the category winners of the awards. They are amazing marketing promotional opportunities for each category winner, which includes radio advertising with GBEA 93.9 as part of their Celebrate the Best campaign. We also have advertising, not advertising, but media release exclusive coverage through the Times News Group. The Business of the Year will receive a $10,000 billboard advertising with Gawker Media. And also the Business Leader of the Year will be awarded to a charity of their choice based in Geelong, a $5,000 commercial radio advertising package. So they're amazing prizes that in total value is around $100,000. Okay, so who can enter the awards program? So a business that resides in Geelong, the Bellarine, Surf Coast, Queenscliff and Golden Plains area are able to enter, and you must be within 40 kilometres of the Geelong city centre. A business can also mean a franchise or organisation, a private or commercial business, a fully funded government organisation, and it also includes training and educational organisations and also not-for-profits. Departments are excluded from entering the awards. However, their subsidiaries are eligible to enter. We have 20 award categories available in terms which are all very diverse. The biggest accolade for the evening is the Business of the Year. We also have 2 individual awards, the Business Leader of the Year and also the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. The awards are also segmented based on the number of full-time employees that you have. So for instance, we have the Home-Based and Micro Business Award, and that particular award is open to businesses who have 1 to 3 full-time equivalent employees. We also have the Small Business Award, which is from 4 to 20 full-time employees, and also the Medium to Large Business Award, which is over 21 full-time equivalent employees. There are also a couple of industry-based awards, including the Advanced Manufacturing, Retail Business and Tourism Award. And following on from that, we also have specialised awards, which include Digital Engagement, Customer Service, Corporate Social Responsibility. There's an Inclusive and Accessible Business Award, Health and Wellbeing Promoting Workplace Award, Safe and Healthy Business, Sustainable Business, and Innovation, Research and Development. There is also an award for the best first-year entry. And if you're a business that's been operating for less than 3 years, we also have an Emerging Business Award. I am very excited to let you know that this year, the City of Greater Geelong are sponsoring the Employer of Choice Award, which is a brand new category. This particular category is about recognising a business who strives to create a workplace that maximises the full potential of their people by providing opportunities to grow and advance them both personally and professionally. I think will be a really popular award. It certainly elevates the position of a business who wins this to recruit, hire, and also retain their people. One of the most common questions we do get asked is, well, which category shall I enter in? With the awards program, each business answers all the same criteria. So all you need to do is to let us know which category you would ultimately like to win. And I encourage you to tick as many of the awards as possible. With the judging panel, we have 19 judges who are all from very diverse backgrounds and industries. All of these judges are very successful in their own right. The chair of judging is Simon Flowers and Deputy Chair Robert Hunter, and it's their role and responsibility to make sure that the judging process is strictly followed. Each judge signs a confidentiality agreement, which ensures that your information is always kept private and confidential at all times. Each judge are also required to declare any conflicts of interest. On the 12th of July, we let all the judges know all the businesses and the individuals who have entered the awards program. And those judges are then to go through those list of names and declare any conflicts. A conflict could mean that that particular judge operates in the same industry or is a competitor, or maybe they're a mentor or a friend, etc. If that's the case, the judge is absolutely not allowed to read the entry that has a conflict. There's two parts of the business entry process. The first part is the written entry, which is due on the 12th of July, and this equates to 50% of the mark. The second part of the process is the site visit, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Each business is required to complete a business summary and full criteria, which we'll go through in detail shortly. And the word count is 2,500 words. When answering each of the questions, there is the option that you can include attachments to support your answers. I do need to highlight that any words that are included in the attachments are included in your word count. This does exclude descriptions to tables and graphs. We do provide a bit of a guide on how, in terms of words, for each of the questions. So for instance, you may like to allocate 400 to 450 words per entry. All of the entry criteria carry the same weight. So please keep that in mind when you're answering the questions. To become a finalist in this program, we do recommend that you develop well-considered answers for each of the criteria. We also will require a business logo and team photo, and that logo and photo will be used by the awards team if you're shortlisted as a finalist as a way to promote your business. The responses to the entry criteria is based on the 1st of June 2023 to the 31st of May 2024. And there's only one question that it doesn't apply to, which is the business achievements section, which we'll talk about shortly. I'm now going to hand over to our Chair of Judging, Simon Flowers, to share how to create a winning entry, or rather an entry to enable you to become a finalist of this program.
Thanks, Danielle. Welcome, everyone. Unfortunately, there is no right or wrong way of writing a winning entry. I think I've reviewed about 1,000 over the years, and you can write it paragraph style, you can write it dot point style. Personally, I prefer the dot point way because it does cut down your words and also makes it easier for the judges to read. But essentially, your written entry should include what you do, who you do it for, and what happens as a result. We see a lot of statements made in written entries. And that's fine, but we also want you to provide some evidence of why you think, for example, you're an employer of choice. Fortunately, this year we have an additional question that forces you to answer that. But essentially, if you're going to make a statement, then provide us with some evidence of why you think that's the case. We also want to know how you differ from your competitors. Obviously, it's Business Excellence Awards. So why are you better than your competitors? One thing that we're pretty strict on in relation to judging is that we won't look at your website when we're reading the written entry. The reason for that is because we have a word limit on the written entry. Some businesses have a landing page website and some have 20 or so pages included within the website. So from a fairness and integrity point of view, we won't look at the website. If you become a finalist and you get a site visit, then that's the time that you want to show your website to the judges. As Tania pointed out, to become a finalist, you have to have a well-considered response to all the 5 criteria. Don't use all your word counts on the first 4 questions, because as Rob and Tina know, my favourite question is the last question. So the first part of the process, I think we're up to business summary. So the first part of the process is the business summary. This doesn't equate to any scores or points from that point of view. What it does is it sets the scene for the judges in relation to what is the general overview of your business. What do you do? What sort of vision do you have? How many staff do you have? Because that's important in relation to letting the judges know what we're sort of expecting over the next sort of 5 criteria and questions. It's also a good opportunity to provide the judges with why you consider your business to be excellent, because obviously it is the Business Excellence Awards. So the process is one, in relation to setting the scene for the judges, letting the judges know about your business. And the second part of it is for Tennille and the Chamber from a marketing point of view. So they'll want to see a photo, a logo, those sort of things. So whatever you put in this question is something that they will use from a marketing point of view. Tennille, I might throw back to you for a second if you want to add anything more to that.
No, you've covered it all there, Simon.
Very good. I must be well practiced at this. So the first criteria is business achievements. And this is split into 3 questions. The first question allows you to include data and things that have happened over the last 3 years. The rest of the questions in relation to these questions and the other 4 criteria that follow are answers based on those dates in front of you. So business achievements is things like awards, increased profit, increased turnover. There might be new equipment, it might be new premises. It might be that you're in business and your competitors aren't in business. There's a variety of things that you've achieved over the last 3 years. And the reason why we use 3 years is because you may have introduced something a couple of years ago. We want you the opportunity to show us what's the result of that change that you made a couple of years ago. So anything from an achievement point of view, you can put in there. Question 1 is great for graphs. And the tip that I provide you, you can do some creative accounting if you want. If your sales have gone up but your profit stayed the same, show a graph of your sales. Whatever puts you in the best position possible from that point of view. The second part of the question is about innovative practices that you've introduced. There is a definition, and all these tips and definitions are on the entry form, and website. So essentially, the definition of innovation is the implementation of a new or significantly improved product, goods, or service, or process, new marketing method, new organizational method, workplace changes, those sort of things. So anything innovative that you go through is to be included in that question. The third part is sustainability and environmental initiatives. Again, there's a whole range of different examples on the website. It could be things like water usage. It could be things like power, clean energy, a range of different things. If you're trying to win one of these separate awards, these specific awards like innovation or sustainability, then you will need to beef up the use of words in this question. So, for example, if you're trying to win sustainability, then you may have to use 700, 750 words in this question rather than the 4 to 450 that Tennille talked about before. So I think that is all, unless Rob and Tina have anything else to raise in business achievements.
No, not for me. Covered it well, actually.
The only thing I had to add was to tell the story. So what we find with winning entries is that there's something in this section about business achievements that begins that story that we're then looking for throughout the rest of the entry. And so remember to try and keep the narrative going, whether it's a bullet point narrative or a paragraph narrative. It's about the story that you're telling, and this is the first hook that you'll get the judges in on, the business achievement section.
Thanks, Tina. The second criteria that you have to answer is about marketing. So essentially, your first question is, who is your target audience? Who is your customers? Where do they come from? Do you break them up? I always give an example of one of the first visits that I attended, which was Gloss Nail Bar. And the owner of that nail bar entered the awards, and she said her audience, she could have very easily said her audience is females within the Geelong region, but that's not very targeted. So she actually broke it down into different age groups, and then she provided evidence of what she did for those different age groups. And that was different nail polishes, it was different services, and then she targeted her marketing strategy towards those different age groups. So she had a very targeted marketing plan towards her customer base. The second part of this question is about describing your marketing strategy. So what market do you operate in? What's your unique selling proposition? What sort of distribution channels do you have? What sort of promotional strategies do you undertake? How do you manage them? How do you record them? How do you review them? It's always good to show the judges that you've put into place something, it hasn't worked, you've reviewed it, and you've moved on to something else. We all know that not every marketing strategy works from day one, so it's great to show an example of that to the judges. The third part of the question is about your digital marketing strategy, and there is a digital engagement award. So what do you do from use of effective tools from a digital point of view? What techniques do you undertake? Essentially, what do you do from a digital point of view? Again, you're trying to win this award, you need to beef up the question or work out in this question. I'll again open it up to Rob and Tina for any comments.
No, you really covered it well, Simon, I think, but I'll just double down on what you were saying about really actually just don't make a statement, back it up with what happened and actually what you did and what you changed after that strategy, especially in marketing. It's really easy to say, oh, we just do Facebook marketing. but what did you get out of that Facebook marketing? Did it work? You know, and then after that, you say, well, okay, this didn't work. This did. We changed our strategy because of this. And that's what we want to see. We really want to see business excellence.
The thing I didn't point out before, and Rob makes a good example of that, is that these awards aren't really after dollar figures. So question one talks about achievements. If we can get some percentages rather than dollars, that's preferable. Again, from a marketing point of view, if as Rob pointed out, if you can say that this strategy created 10% growth in your turnover, then that's a good thing to show us as well. So that's a good point, Rob. The third question or criteria that we go through is customer service. And essentially everyone answers this question, and therefore everyone is eligible to enter this award. So essentially, what is your approach to customer service? What's your overarching philosophy towards customer service? How do you promote it? How do you get your staff involved in showing it? What sort of methods do you undertake to provide good customer service? Is it measured? Do you do something that is able to measure it? How do you cultivate loyalty within your customers? A whole range of different things from a customer service point of view. The second part of this question is all about inclusiveness and accessibility. So what we're after here is describing your practices and policies towards inclusiveness. And the second part of this question is about accessibility of your premises and things like that. The third question here is about corporate social responsibility. Again, there's another award for this. What we're after here is, what do you do? Who do you support? How do you support them? Why do you support them? And again, we're not really after dollar figures. You might support them from a dollar figure point of view. You might support them from a time point of view. You might have events, close down the shop for a day and go do an event with your staff. Yeah, there's a variety of different things that you can show us from a corporate social responsibility point of view. It's important to actually understand is that if you're not trying to win one of these awards, you still need to answer the questions. So it might be the case that you particularly want to win the Corporate Social Responsibility Award, but you still need to outline in a couple of dot points, what do you do from a CSR point of view? Again, I'll open to Rob and Tina.
You're pretty right there.
All good. So moving on to people and culture is the next one. And again, we start off with a bit of an overarching, what is your business strategy towards people and culture? What's your strategy towards HR? What do you do for your staff? What sort of training do you do? What sort of compliance things do you have in place? Do you have employment agreements? Do you have position descriptions? A whole range of different things. Do you do reviews? Do you have bonus structures with staff? A variety of different things from a people and culture point of view. The second part is that new question that Tennille reckons that everyone's going to want to win. And so that is about employer of choice. Okay, so what we want you to explain is why you believe that your business is an employer of choice, and outline the reasons why that's the case. The third part of people and culture is about describing your practices to support a workplace culture focusing on health and well-being. So what we're after here is, what do you do from a staff point of view to promote, health and well-being? Is it flu jabs? Is it time off? Is it webinars? Is it getting people in to talk about health and well-being? Do you provide fresh fruits on a weekly basis? Whatever you do from supporting the health and wellbeing culture. The fourth part of this question is about health and safety of your employees and clients. So what do you do from a health and safety point of view? If you're in the manufacturing space, what do you do from OH&S point of view? So anything that relates to the health and safety of employees and clients. Anything anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, I'd add to this one, Simon. This is often the section that we see in entries where entrants will start to talk about the kinds of policies that they have. And it reminded me that that's an important part of what we like to read about. You don't have to necessarily submit those documents, although you can as attachments, but remember they'll count to your word count. But to note that you have, for example, a marketing and communications plan in relation to that criteria. To note in the customer services criteria that if you have one, if you've got a customer services policy or a charter that that helps you to be able to provide the brilliant customer service that you do. And likewise with people and culture, as I said, this is often the place where businesses are most likely to have policies and strategies. And so your policies around HR, as Simon mentioned, OH&S, health and wellbeing, code of conduct, inductions, those kinds of things would be described in policies that you have in relation to people and culture. And it's reminded me that if you've got those kinds of documents that help you do what you do brilliantly in relation to the other criteria, definitely mention those.
The other thing that to be important in this question and overall is that the judges also need to be aware of the size of the businesses. So we may have a sole trader who's entered the awards, and they would obviously answer this question a little bit differently to someone who's got 50 or 100 staff. So if you're a sole trader, what we're basically thinking about here is what upskilling, what training, what sort of things do you do personally within your business? Question 3 talks about workplace culture and health and wellbeing. What do you do from your own personal health and wellbeing point of view? How do you protect, the health and wellbeing of your staff, of yourself and your clients as well? So put it basically into what do you do yourself? Do you upskill? Do you do new courses? Do you do webinars? What sort of things do you undertake from a people and culture point of view if you're a sole trader?
I think also, Simon, just actually on that one there, it's probably one of the most important and hardest things in a business to get right. But we really want to see actually what you're doing for your staff as well. Do you have a 4-day week? Do you actually, work from anywhere sort of thing with working from home and all those type of things? And so much has changed in the last 3 or 4 years since COVID. You can really showcase what you're doing now for your staff.
Yep. So the last criteria is finance. And again, we've split this up a little bit in different questions. The first question really is an overall sort of high-level idea of financial management. So what we're after here is what sort of goals have you set from a financial point of view? Is there any objectives you're trying to achieve? How often do you review them? Do you have plans? Do you have a vision? Those sort of things from a finance point of view. We then dive down a little bit deeper in relation to your financial procedures and controls. Okay, so question 1 is about performance. Question 5 is about your financial management and financial procedures. So these sort of things is question 2 is more about financial procedures and controls. So how do you measure your financial performance? What tools do you use? Do you use Xero? Do you have a bookkeeper or accountant who helps you in relation to these? Do you have KPIs set for the business? Do you measure your debtors and creditors? How often do you do it? Do you have cash flows or budgets that you undertake? So essentially, it's about your financial management. What sort of procedures and controls do you have in place for financial management? Last year, we introduced a table that was available for people to complete, and we did actually have a high percentage of businesses who did complete it last year. We're hoping to go a little bit higher from that point of view. So this year, if you complete the table, you get a full 5 extra marks in addition to your normal score. The judges don't actually look at the table and compare the percentages with other businesses. What we're just trying to achieve is getting an idea of whether you can read a set of financials and you understand where to get certain figures from in your financials. The financials we're talking about is the last set of financials that you've completed, might be 30th of June 2023. But essentially, we're just after the percentage in the percentage column. So we don't need to see the middle column. All we're after is gross profit margin and a percentage, liquidity ratio and a percentage, solvency and a percentage, and return on net assets and percentage. So the percentage figures is just giving us an idea of your understanding of how you can read a set of financial statements. The last part of the question 5 is about your risk strategies and practices. Every business has risks. There may be different risks to other businesses, but essentially outline what your top 4 or 5 key risks are within your business, and then what are the actions that you've taken to mitigate those risks. It might be the case that IT might be a risk. You have strategies involved in relation to protecting your IT, and you may have cyber insurance from a hacking point of view. So what are your key risks that you have, and what are the practices you've undertaken to mitigate those risks? So it could be IT, it could be staffing, it could be competitors, it could be arranged, it could be your premises, you might have a long-term lease, a variety of different risks that you have. What are the risks? How do you mitigate those risks? And I will hand over to Rob and Tina if they've got anything else to complete or talk about from a finance point of view.
Yeah, I think this one's actually a really good one, because I think the entrants are starting to run out of steam by the time they get to the 5th one. So we do want to see more than we use Xero and we have an accountant. So we really want to see, and it's a ripper for graphs and growth and things like that to show us. It's a really good one for that. So don't run out of steam by the time you get to the actual finance section.
So the process is, as Tennille talked about before, was that you do your written entry. We split it amongst the judges in relation to reading it. You get a written entry form score, and then that score is then determined from the judges about how many finalists we have and how many site visits we undertake. So this year, the site visits, if you're lucky enough to be a finalist, is between those dates of the 12th of August to the 11th of September. You'll have 2 or 3 judges come out and do the site visit to see you. They'll rescore your entry. Typically, we see the score go up because you've been able to tell the judges a little bit more in relation to your business. There's more to see. There's more to talk about, and that site visit score is then added together with your written score, and then that's your final score about whether you win an award or not. The site visit is great to provide evidence of your written submission. We also like to cover criteria 1 to criteria 5. If you're trying to win one of these additional awards, then provide a little bit more evidence in relation to those. This is the site visits, the fun activity for the judges. They really, really enjoy going out and seeing different businesses. And they always come back really excited about the businesses. Again, I'll stop and hand over to Rob and Tina if they want to add anything.
Yeah, I love the site visits, and I think it's actually the most fun, definitely for the judges, because you can really go out there and showcase your business to your judges and prove what's in your actually application and really just enhance it. So it's really good fun. And a lot of people get very nervous to have some judges in there, but don't. It is fairly casual in what we do as well.
Tina, do you want to add anything in relation to site visits? You've been to a lot of site visits in the past.
This is Tennille here. I'd just like to add that if you are a micro or home-based business, you may not wish to have the site visit at your location of work, which might be your home, for instance. You can actually choose to have your site visit at a cafe or somewhere of your choice. And we're also more than happy to have your site visit or your interview at the Geelong Chamber of Commerce office in Newtown.
The other thing to point out in relation to site visits is that we will, if you become a finalist, we will be doing a separate session on how to present to the judges from a site visit point of view. We also have two different individual awards. The first award is the Business Leader Award. So you can either enter it yourself, or if there's a leader that's not sort of putting the entry in for themselves, you can actually do it for them. There's 3 questions there on the screen that we want the business leader to answer, and 500 words limit per question. It's very important that everyone understands that the word limits are very, very strict. If you go over 2,500 words from a business point of view, you basically are disqualified from that point of view. So do not go over the word count at all. I think Tina's having some IT problems. Young Entrepreneur is the second individual award. From an age point of view, we count it between 16 and 40. So again, there's 3 questions that you need to answer, 500 words per question. And if you're lucky enough to be a finalist chosen by the judges, then the finalists present to the judges on Friday, the 9th of August, 2024. That date cannot change. That is the date that is set for the interviews for the finalists for the 2 individual awards. And I hand over to Tennille.
Thank you so much, Simon. Again, we do have the Q&A function. If you have any questions at all, please start typing away and we'll certainly address them very shortly. To enter the awards, you just need to go to gbea.com.au and create a login. You can save your entry as you go. You're welcome to insert answers, save, and then come back to it at another time. You just need to access your login. I do recommend saving your answers in a Word document in the first instance and then copy and pasting across. Obviously, the benefit of doing that is number one, you can distribute it to your team to get their input on all the entry criteria. And secondly, and the most important part, is that you have it up if there's any internet issues. We do have a review service. The review service is open to all first-year entrants of the awards program or for businesses who have not become a finalist before. What happens is that you can submit your answers to the entry criteria in a Word document and email it to gba@geelongchamber.com.au from the 3rd of June. We have a selection of judges, they're called review judges, who will read your submission, and then they will provide you feedback on how to improve your entry. You then have up until 4 p.m. on the 12th of July to submit your answers. The review service ends on the 1st of July 2024, and after this session, I'll certainly send you some more information about that one. As I mentioned earlier, entries close at 4 p.m. on the 12th of July. In the past, a lot of people do leave it to the last minute to upload their entry. I do recommend that you start working on it very early on. The site visits, as discussed, are between the 12th of August and 11th of September, and they must take place during that period. And if you are successful to be shortlisted for the business leader or the young entrepreneur, the interview date is the 9th of August. I do recommend that you block out that date in your diary now. Unfortunately, we cannot change that date. The presentation event this year will be held at the Pier Geelong on the 17th of October 2024. We will be announcing the finalists from the 1st of August, and that's when tickets will go on sale for that particular event. And if you are successful in becoming a winner of this program, we will also be hosting a cocktail celebration event on the 30th of October. And this is a wonderful opportunity to connect with all the other winners of the program and also the sponsors. I'll just open it up to see if there are any questions at all. And while we're waiting, I might go back to Lou. And Lou, if you would mind sharing with everyone any tips you have about your journey in the awards program. It could be the written entry or even the site visit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you said before that a lot of people submit their entries at the very last minute, which, give yourself as much time as possible to get it done. But I highly suggest starting right now. So even just doing a bit of a brain dump under each category, and then going back to it between now and the 12th of July is a really good idea, and refining it. I think I revised ours like 3 or 4 times before I actually finally submitted it on the day it was due. I think I spent maybe 150 hours, which seems like a lot, which it is if you try and cram it in all last minute. But I did our written entry over a period of weeks. I took myself out of the business, so I actually took myself to the Belmont Library to do it because I needed kind of a quiet, clear space. And I, like I said before, I got the team involved as well. So at the first instance, the brain dump section, we all sat in a team meeting and went through the criteria and came up with some ideas on sort of what we'd achieved and the kind of answers we were going to put in there. And then obviously I needed to do a big deep dive of data to make sure that we could back up what we were saying. And then when it came to the site visit, that was really exciting because it was a really great opportunity for us to prove what we put in the written submission. So it is tricky trying to get under that word count. And I did use things like graphs and things like that. But then that on-site visit was a really great opportunity for us to show the judges, all of the actual data without having to worry about a word count.
Thank you so much, Lou. Simon, how would you approach attacking this entry form? Would you go about with dot points or?
Yeah, I suppose different people have done it in different ways, and Rob has won the big award before, and I believe his wife wrote it the weekend before. So she did it an alternative way. But the way I'd sort of approach it is maybe once a week do one of the questions. I would dot point I would think about 10 of the biggest things that you've done in those questions, dot point it down, and then work out how you're actually going to and what you're going to include in that question. So spread it out, do one at a time. As Lou talked about, get your staff involved, get your friends involved, get your family involved, whatever the case may be. But essentially, whatever's the biggest bang for your buck, you might only be able to fit 6 out of the 10 in. And that's where the site visit's handy from being able to include those 4 other things.
Robert and Tina, is there anything that you would like to add at all? Any tips?
Not a huge amount, because you guys have covered it very, very well. Probably the only thing is just enjoy doing the application as well, because it's actually showcasing your business and what you've achieved. And it's great to look back on an application and read through it and go, gee, this is what we've actually done. We actually have worked pretty hard to do these things. So enjoy the process as well. And it's a very, very good process.
Thank you. While we're still waiting for questions, I thought what I'll do is actually share the online application form. So just one moment. Okay, so I've already logged in to the online form. A bit further up, you add in all these different details in terms of your name, address, and so forth. We would love you to share your Facebook URL, business Instagram, and LinkedIn URL. The judges are not going to view these social media platforms. It's really for the awards team to be able to learn more about your business for when we promote you as a finalist if you're successful. We also like to know who will be accepting the award on the night. And this section here, we just asked you to outline the awards that you would like to be a finalist in. And I do recommend that you tick as many boxes as you can. And Simon's gone into detail of all the different criteria, but everything that he's spoken about on this online information session is online. It's under the tips section. So for instance, for business summary, please provide a general overview of your business. If you click tips, this is a bit of a guide on how to answer the question. And I'll show you another example as well. So under business achievements, describe your business achievements over the last 3 years. If we click the tips section, this gives you a bit of a guide on how to answer that particular question. You don't need to cover every aspect, but it's just simply a guide. And you can also upload files to support all the statements that you're saying. But again, as I've outlined earlier, that does contribute to your word count, unless of course it's photos and graphs. So yes, we don't have any questions, but you may walk away from today's information session and probably have 4 or 5 of them, and that's okay. The awards team is here, so please email or call us if you have any questions at all. All our details are on the GBEA platform. Thank you, Lou, for being our speaker today. I really appreciate you being here, and of course to Simon, Robert, and Tina. Thank you for joining the session, and I wish you all the best with your application. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.